I was always hesitant to start a podcast because, well, I've got a busy life, and the last thing I want to do was add one more chore on my to-do list. I thought about paying others to do it for me, but just didn't feel like it was worth it. My mind changed when I heard about Spotify for podcasters and how simple and easy it was to record, edit, schedule, and distribute my podcast everywhere I wanted it to be. Seriously, the process takes you less than 5 minutes, and that's including putting together polls and questions to engage with your listeners, plus adding ads and subscriptions. That way you can make a little money on the side or turn it into your main source of income. And best of all, they do all this for free. So instead of putting money in other people's pockets, choose the platform that does the work for you and helps put money in yours. Get started at www.spotify.com/podcasters or download the Spotify for Podcasters app today. Hey guys, welcome back to the Trading Coach Podcast. Today we're going to talk about a method that can be used to really become successful at anything. Of course, we're going to make it a little bit trading related, but you can think about it as personal finance and really whatever type of goal you want to achieve in life. Now, before we get into it, do me a favor, show some support for the show. I know you already support by listening 3 times a week, but if you haven't done so already, show some more support for the show by leaving me a rating or a review, 5 stars if you feel it's worth it. At the end of the year, all these kind of blogs and whatnot rate podcasts. Last year, I was rated the 7th best trading podcast out there. I'd like to continue to improve and work my way up that ladder, but I need your help to do it. So leave me a rating and a review. It takes a second, but it means bunches to me. Now, funny story before we get started, or I guess as we get started, I was going to title this podcast or I guess this method of mine, because I'm not good with words, and I was going to title it the deconstruction method. With the idea of construction is like when you're building stuff, right? This is that, Philadelphia public school education where my vocabulary isn't too great, but construction is the method of building stuff. So I thought that deconstruction would be like the opposite, right? The reverse of building. And I've gotten smart over the years because I've said a lot of words that mean different things to different people as, we reach hundreds of different countries in this podcast. And I learned that deconstruction is more of like a philosophical thing, sometimes religious thing. So just keep in mind what I mean if you hear me say deconstruction. I'm not taking any religious shots or I'm not using it the wrong way. It's just the way that works for me. But I was having a conversation with a trader this morning on our Tier 1 trading platform, a trader that was having struggles. We actually had a conversation in one of my live rooms the previous day, and today they followed up with another question. And the question was a little bit odd because it made sense, but it didn't make sense, right? It was one of those things where it's like it was a perfectly valid question, but my little trader coach Spidey sense went off my head saying, hey, this is one that, based on where this trader is at in the process, shouldn't be having. And I say that because the trader mentioned that, hey, they're in the back testing process. So the process of going through historical data, identifying historical opportunities, tracking the data, trying to either one, prove that their hypothesis on, their trading strategy is correct. It indeed has an edge over the market and can produce consistent profit over different market periods, or they're at the point where they're looking to kind of add filters and tweak and still adjust it to kind of make it just right. So we can do kind of the aforementioned stuff. And typically when you get to this process, the backtesting process is pretty much one of the last steps before you go trading live, right? Maybe there's a demo trading process after that. But usually right after backtesting, this is kind of the last check and balance to say like, hey, I'm ready to go, right? And we get in there. So everything else up to that from a technical standpoint should be crystal clear. So that's why it was a little bit weird that we're having these questions where it's like, hey, how are you backtesting if you're still unsure of this and that? And we ended up having a conversation where I said, hey, have you gone through the courses and have you done this and have you done that? And the answer was no. And kind of the whole explanation that why we do things in a certain order here at Tier 1 Trading. Trust me, I'm not making this a sales pitch or anything like that, but I want to explain my philosophy of teaching. And it uses this deconstruction method where, whether it's teaching trading in our trading courses, whether it's, setting up a business, becoming an entrepreneur, whether it's doing like a daily goal, or whether it's, I think the last podcast episode, we talked about personal finance and the snowball versus avalanche effect. Maybe you want to clear up some debt. No matter what that goal is, I liked and I have use this process throughout my life. And I call it the deconstruction process because I can't think of any fancier words to use. And again, construction is building something up. I look at deconstruction as breaking it down. If you know the word that I'm supposed to be using, type it in the comment section below. But my method is this. We always want to start with the bigger picture, right? What is our ultimate goal, right? What do we want to achieve? Do we want to start a business? Do we want to reduce debt? Do we want to plan a vacation? Do we want to become a consistently profitable trader? Whatever it may be. We start with the big goal and kind of write down what we want to achieve, why we want to achieve it, all that fun stuff, right? And then we want to work backwards and we want to ask ourselves, what do we need to achieve that goal? So if I want to do this, I have to do this. And we keep working backwards until we get to like the very first thing. And what that does is it sets up a game plan for you to follow, right? So you're building an upside down pyramid and then you're flipping it upside down and working back up. Another good example would be like, let's say, I love to cook. In another life, I would have been a chef. I'm a chef for my wife. And if you see my wife, you're probably wondering, how the hell did she marry this guy? Especially because we were together before the trading success. So I didn't wow her with the Forex jargon and the loud, the loud flashy stuff. I wowed her with, funny, dry humor and good food. So fellas out there, right? Or fellas and ladies out there, right? If you want to look for a partner, right? Get in the kitchen, learn how to cook. But imagine it like you're preparing a meal, right? So if you're preparing a meal, do you just go to the grocery store, the supermarket, and just start picking out random stuff? No, right? You think about the meal. Okay, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this. This is what I want to have for an appetizer. This is what we want to have for the entree. This is what I want to have for dessert. And then we start thinking about, hey, okay, well, I know what I want to make. Now, what ingredients do I need to make these things? We start listing out. I need the chicken. I need the sauce. I need the flour. I need the cake mix, the batter, whatever it may be. We start listing it backwards, right? This is the same method that we want to take. And the way that we set up our training here at Tier 1 Trading is we start with the very basics, right? Because again, we deal with traders that are from all different levels. Some are brand spanking new where they don't know what a pip is. They don't know, what a price chart is. They don't know what a exchange or a broker is, right? We start with the very basics and then we work our way up. We go from those basics and then we teach the basics of price movement on a very macro level. And then we go to a micro level, meaning we start kind of big, small, like, hey, what is a trend? It looks like this in the most kind of remedial form. And then we add more details to it. Okay, so now that you understand what it looks like, here are some rules you can apply to it. What is a candlestick? Well, this is a red candlestick, which means bearish. This is a green candlestick, which means bullish. Okay, we understand those basic principles. Now we can add a little bit more detail to it. Well, this is a bullish candlestick, but this is a weak one. This is a medium one. This is a strong one, right? We start with the very basics, a vague picture, and then we get detailed on that picture. And then that picture allows us to progress to the next picture, right? Once you understand a candlestick, you can understand this. Once you understand a trend, you can understand structure. Once you understand structure, you can understand boom, 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 boom. And what we're doing is we are building this foundation. And I've said this plenty of times, and maybe this is the real estate investor in me as well, but the main part, the most important part of your house is going to be your foundation. It's not the flashy stuff, right? The flashy stuff is what so many newer traders and so many homeowners get suckered into looking at, right? So many newer traders come in and they want the strategy. They see something on YouTube or they attend a live event and someone's wowing them. I just got an email the other day saying that someone made $3.2 billion or $1 million this past year based off this funky name strategy. I forgot what it was called, the Fibonacci Flappy or something like that, right? Like rookie traders, newer traders, we get intrigued by that type of stuff because it's salesmanship. It wows us, right? Again, when you walk into the house, the most important parts of the house, right? We're gonna make sure we showcase it the right way, right? We're not just gonna bring you into a dirty house, right? We're working on taking pictures right now for a property we're about to sell, and we got to go in there and clean it up. We got to clean it up. We got to, we don't do this, but you can hire, I would advise hiring, maybe if you're not good on your own, professional photographers, right? To get the lighting right, to get the angles that make the house look the longest, right? Tell me how many times you've been in a house or an apartment and you see the pictures and you're like, damn, that looks good. And then you get there in real life and you're like, man, this is small, right? If you're living in New York, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you hit the right angles, it makes everything look better. You set it the right way where you bring in furniture instead of having an open room. It makes it look better. You put a kind of a fruit platter or a fruit bowl and a flower bowl in the kitchen or on the kitchen. It makes it look homey. It makes it feel like you're there. And that is kind of attacking your desires, right? The same things happen with trading and people get suckered into that stuff. However, if you are serious and knowledgeable about buying a house, right, or trading, and we'll get back to that as well, you're looking at the important things, right? You're looking at, hey, what year was this roof updated? Or, hey, what's the structural integrity of this house look like, right? Hey, what about that hot water heater? What about the AC, the HVAC, right? All that fun stuff. You're looking at the things that are kind of the backbone, the spinal cord of your house, right? The electric, the wires, right? The stuff that isn't really sexy, that's probably covered up and hidden, that isn't shown on a house tour, but that's going to make or break your house, right? Because if you have a rocky foundation, you can have all the flashy stuff you want on top of that foundation, but eventually it is going to tip and eventually it is going to crumble. And this is what we're speaking to the trader about. The trader wants to do all this stuff. I want this, I want that, I want that. But when I asked him, hey, have you gone through these foundational courses? And I knew the answer, you didn't, because you wouldn't have had these questions if you did. And they said no. I said, well, it's very important. I would advise you going back through the courses or going through the courses for the first time. This was a trader on a trial membership. Go through the course for the first time, build this foundation. And it may seem slow, it may seem a little boring, it may not be sexy because it doesn't necessarily relate to you trading and making money right away, right? No one sees themselves living in the basements or the nooks and crevices of your house that aren't too appealing. But you want to make sure you have all these things checked. You want to make sure all these key points are in place. And when they are in place, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to build whatever you want on top of that and have the confidence that, hey, it's going to be stable, it's going to be steady, and it's not going to fail me. From a trading perspective, right, as you go through this process and you learn literally a process, right, it opens up your eyes to different things in the market, right? We spoke about this on the Trading Coach podcast before where, we only have so much bandwidth. I forgot what episode, I apologize, but we're talking about kind of, I think it was like how to stay successful and remain successful in trading. When we spoke about, hey, during the beginning phases of trading, right, you only know what you know, right? Or you don't know what you don't know, I guess you can say. So you're focused on a particular thing. There's all sorts of other things happening at the same time, but you literally can't see it because you don't have the capacity, right? And going on kind of my space and oh my gosh, quantum physics type of thing. It's like, hey, the fourth, fifth dimension, right? That stuff may actually exist, but as human beings, because we can only see in 3D, 4D could be right in front of our face, but we actually can't recognize it. I promise I won't go into that thing. You know how I get with space and all those weird stuff, but it's the same type of concept. There can be something very, very, very important right in front of your face, but you don't have the capacity to see it because you haven't learned kind of the precursor first, right? Once you start learning the basic stuff, right? Once you start learning the basic stuff and you open up your understanding, your brain and your eyes evolve, then other things start, right, jumping out to you on the screen where you're like, man, I never saw that before, or I saw that before, but I never really paid attention to it. I never knew what it meant. Now I see how that can support what I was doing before. And it opens up an entirely new world of trading. Trust me, I'm still having these moments to this day. A good example for me is when I started teaching about price action psychology, right? Where when I first started trading, I only worried about signal, strategy, technical analysis, blah, 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 blah. I never really thought about analyzing the market like a story. And I forgot if it was me reading a book. I was probably on a flight somewhere. That's when I get all creative and stuff like that. When I'm high in the air. Dramatic pause, right? When I'm high in the air. And I started thinking about, hey, these candlesticks have a story, right? This is a representation of the buying and selling habits that are happening in the market. This is like people. This is crowd psychology. This is human behavior. And once I started looking at the charts, kind of going inside the matrix on that perspective, it unlocked a whole different level. I was seeing candlesticks and candlestick combinations at certain levels in the market that I would previously ignore. But now that my knowledge was expanded, they were pretty good clues that stuff that I wanted to happen was going to happen. I was able to get more aggressive with my entries. I was able to stay out of certain trades, right? All these filters started developing all because of something that I was staring at for literally probably like 5 years before, or maybe 3 or 4 years before, right? Started actually giving me reasons, giving me kind of, it started showing me signals, showing me signs. I guess it was showing it to me the whole time, but I finally unlocked that level where I can understand them. And this is, but it takes time to get to that point. Again, think about the deconstruction, right? That point in trading is going to be at the very top, close to mastery. You don't have to jump into that right away, right? But that's something that's on the level, and I'm sure that will unlock something else in the future. So the moral of the story is, in this long-winded rant, was if you're new to trading, or if you're an experienced trader, you haven't done so already, go back and remind yourself about the basics, right? You have to think bigger picture, just like we spoke about goals, right? Goals shouldn't happen overnight. You shouldn't set a goal and like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be this, or tomorrow I'm going to start a business. Goals take time, right? Give yourself time, and specifically give yourself time to do the small things. Give yourself time to save money so you can start reducing debt. Give yourself time to learn the basics about trading so that the other things will come more naturally, instead of you building a unstable house that falls down and you have to end up starting over anyway, because that's what always happens, right? Give yourself time to do things the right way. Think about it as an investment, right? When you invest in a stock or any particular asset, you're not looking for an immediate return. You're not looking to buy today and profit tomorrow. You're looking to buy today, right, in hopes that you're ahead of the curve, and then you're looking to profit months from now, years from now, right? We want to treat our trading the same way. Take the time, invest in yourself now, and allow yourself to profit later. Speaking of investment, specifically the investment of time, invest in yourself by taking some time to join us for our upcoming live trading workshop. It's going to happen at the very end of October. We're thinking October 24th, 25th, and 26th. It's going to be a live online workshop, free of cost. All you have to do is take the time out and join. Make sure you stay in the loop. I'll get you information on how to sign up and register and all that fun stuff. But for now, put aside those dates, October 24th, 5th, and 6th, for an upcoming 3-day live free trading workshop online.